Hello and welcome to Tea Talk, where the topics are real, relevant, and relaxing. It's Tea Talk time, and here's Lady O.
Hi, thank you, Tracy. So glad to see all of you all. It is going to be a wonderful, wonderful show today. So make sure that you grab your tea, relax, and get ready to discuss something that's going to be so important to you and everybody you know. For my guest today is going to be giving information that is very important to all adult residents, um, especially in the Sci-Fair ISD, all students, all teachers, all principals, everybody, residents that live in Sci-Fair. This show is going to be very important to you as we are going to be talking about something that's coming up this year. And it is the election for the school board of Sci-Fair ISD. Now, I want you to know from the very beginning, this show is not endorsing this candidate. We're not giving you, First Met is not endorsing this candidate, neither is RCDC. This is just a talk show that can give you information so that you can learn and you can make your own decisions about who you want to vote for. But one of the things we have to do is to make sure that you know the information and that this is an open forum for you to be able to ask questions of the person who is wanting to represent you on the school board. And that's exactly what we are looking to see, to make sure that on the school board we have people who represent me, that's who I will vote for, people who represent you, your kids, your district. You get to choose. And the good thing about that is um, it's possible that you can get people on there that represent you if enough people come out and vote. So we're going to be talking about all of those things today, but I wanted to make sure that you understand that we're not endorsing. The information is here for you to give, get, and for you to make some good decisions on it. So invite your family and your friends, all of your people that are on Facebook. Invite them to come on so they too can hear the information. They too can ask questions, and our guests will be happy to answer them. So, without further ado, you should have been able to already share a couple of times. If you have not, I'm kind of waiting around giving information so you can go ahead and share this with some of your friends or call somebody on the phone, tell them they're on. You need to get on Tea Talk. They're about to talk about something very important. And I'm going to talk about why it's important, first of all. And my first guest is going to really, talk more about why it's important. But for me, why is it important? Because as a former educator and teacher, counselor in the school district, the system is set up to where people make decisions for you, for your children, for your classroom, all those things, your pay. If you're a teacher like me, who's going to vote for a raise for me? Who's going to make decisions that protect? In my instance, I had little brown children in the district. I wanted to make sure that people understood and cared about my little brown children as they did for everybody else. So that's what was important to me, that fairness and just good quality teachers, good quality people running the district. That's what I wanted to do. But you know what? If you're not involved, other people will make the decision for you that fits what they want. And you know what? It might not be the best thing for you, your child. As a teacher, it may not be the best thing for you as a teacher, as a principal, as a librarian. But if you don't vote, you don't have anything to say about it. People will make those decisions for you. That's why this is so important to talk about. And it's so important for you to get all of your family and friends to talk about it. Because one of the things that we sometimes have a problem with, we love watching TV, we love being entertained. We don't watch the news, we don't participate sometimes. And I'm going to say that's going to stop. And we're going to talk about that and how to make sure you stay informed and get involved so the decisions that are being made will be ones that you are happy with and not regretful of after the fact. So my first guest I'm going to bring is an expert in the topic I'm going to be talking about today, because He has served on the school board for 18 years. That is a long time in this district. He represented our district. He represented all students, all of them the same, and loved all the students. But he was upseated at the last election because everybody didn't go to vote. We were very, very close. But that's why we want you to know this is so important. So, therefore, the person who gets the most votes is the one who gets to sit in that position and make those decisions for you. So if you want somebody sitting at the table to make decisions that you want, you have got to go beyond just taking one vote. You got to do more than that and get out all the votes to make sure he wins. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce to you my first guest for today. Is Dr. John Ogletree Jr. Hello, Dr. Ogletree.
Hello, 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 T Talk. Hello, Lady O. Glad to be back again on T Talk.
Well, we're so happy to have you. And so I want you to start off with the conversation because you're going to be telling us about what is the school board? What does it do? What power does it have? And so that'll kind of give us an understanding of what does a school board do and why is it important to me?
Well, the school board is very important. We have over 1,000 school districts in the state of Texas, and each of those districts has a board. And that board, the power and authority is rested in that board to vote on budgets, to hire, to approve superintendent recommendations, to set policy. Just something as small as, well, it's really big. The code of conduct each year at the beginning of the school year, the district votes on the code of conduct, how students are to behave. So it's a number of things that the school board has the authority and power vested in to do, and they hire and can fire a superintendent.
Yeah. I think that's really important because I know we're coming up. I know our superintendent, current superintendent, has given his notice that he will not be there anymore. This is the end of his year, ends the beginning of the school year or after the election?
No, it ends his tenure. His retirement begins in January. He concludes his service in December of this year.
Okay. So this coming January, we're going to have a new superintendent. And so are you telling me that the board is the one that's going to select this new superintendent?
Well, the board is presently, we believe, going to go through a superintendent search. We don't know if it will, if they will be able to accomplish that before the election or even after the election. That's up in the air, but I believe the intent is to hire a new superintendent before Dr. Henry officially retires.
Right. And so Dr. Henry, when he came on, I know you were on the board. Were you president of the board that year when he was hired?
Yes, and in fact, I've had the privilege of hiring, being on the board that hired two superintendents, Dr. David Anthony and Dr. Mark Henry. And both of those were stellar superintendents, and they've served Cyfera ISD well.
Very good. So you can see how important the board is because they get to have a lot to say. I remember you all interviewing them and we getting to know them and going out to dinner to kind of figure out which ones to choose. So you guys made a great choice in both of them. And Dr. Henry has been there, I guess, how many years now? Do you
I
remember?
think it's now 11 or 12 years.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, that's one of the things that's so important because the superintendent has a lot to say about the policies, not policies, but the governance of the different teachers and principals and that kind of thing, right?
Yes, the superintendent runs the district. That's what he's hired to do. and that's what he's been professionally trained and has the he or she has experience of doing. Yes.
Okay, very good. And I wanted people to understand that because when you've got the right board in there, if the superintendent is not doing what he needs to do or she, then they can be by the board fired, just for lack of a better word. You all can fire the superintendent if he is just really not doing the right thing.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. All righty. So I just wanted to make sure we got that out of the way. And so then also, I know they have a lot to do with the teachers that come on and different things like that. So it's very, very important. What would you say to the people who are listening about how important it is for them to be involved in this next election?
uh, it cannot be overstated how important it is for every citizen inside Sapphire. Sapphire is 186 square miles, and we have a population of, I think, nearly 700,000 in that. We have a district of 117,000 plus students. We have employees of around 15,000. It is so important, like never before, for citizens to vote in the school board election. This past election 2 years ago, we had a group that came in and they really denounced the district. They and people moved into Sapphire because of the school district, but they were able to bring the in a conservative thought that the school district was uh, being run by liberals and teaching CRT and all of that, and all the stellar things that this district had been doing was tarnished. And it's so important that people take an interest in and understand these are our children, and our children should not be controlled by a political mechanism and demagoguery that comes from some other state or from some think tank. We need to take interest in our children, and we can do that uh, at the ballot by voting for who is going to make the decisions that affect the classroom, who is going to make the decisions that affect the budgets and affect what teachers and principals get hired. That is a school board trustee.
Right. And I know it's a lot of hard work and it's not a job that you're paid for. I know some districts do pay their school board members because it is a lot of work. So it is really, really want to have the right person that does not have a political agenda, but has a child-centered agenda, who is really thinking about the children and the teachers, and not something higher up in a political realm, which we have to be so careful. I want to also, Bishop, ask you just to reflect back on the last election. And I know I was there, and it was a very dirty, um, it was a dirty race by a lot of people and a lot of name calling, and it wasn't like a real pretty thing because people wanted to intimidate. And I know the record that you've had over all these years, and everybody is raved over it. Everybody, until this last year, people made you look like something you were not, to cause people to doubt uh, your great reputation, and you ended up losing by a very short margin. And it wasn't because people didn't work hard, I think, or that people did not want you on there. Just a few did not. And the reason why I believe you lost was because people didn't come out and vote. How much was that margin of loss for you back then? Do you remember?
I think in my race, and mine was the closest of the three, I think I lost by, it was either 900 or 1100 votes, something like that. Could have been 1200. It was uh, about that number.
Okay. And so when you look at that, I mean, with some of our churches, we have more people than that in that church. Some of our sororities and fraternities, we have more people than that at our universities. So those votes could have easily, I mean, he could have easily won had we really known the seriousness of it and really pushed a little bit harder. This election, we got to push a whole lot harder. Now, listen, Bishop, we have a question for you, and it says, what are the 2 to 3 key issues that voters need to be made aware of or watch out for in this upcoming school board election? What are the 2 to 3 key issues that they need to look for?
Well, I will say the issue that is really paramount. We had a thing in our district, opportunity for all, and we were believers in diversity, equity, and inclusion. And the new conservative move is against all of that. No diversity, no equity, no inclusion. In fact, they've come up with this idea of just looking at every student as the same. Don't break them down, even though the state requires us to disaggregate, to break down the components parts. How many students are Hispanic or Latino? How many are African American? How many are Asian? How many are Anglo? And the state also, we have to break down how many are low socioeconomic students and how many are students with disabilities. We have to break all that down, but their philosophy is don't do that. Just look at everybody the same, and just every student just needs to work hard. And that's just not going to work in this day and time. There are some students who need extra help, extra attention. They need whether it's psychologists or counselors, special attention. We have they didn't believe in us feeding children and getting feeding programs. There's some children who come to school hungry, and I'm telling you, it's hard to learn if on a hungry stomach. We had all of this anti inclusion, anti diversity, and that is the main thing that is still before us. We have people still trying to. They've come up with a plan that if parents, instead of taking all the books, and like in some school districts, yeah, they have a plan now. If a parent doesn't like a book, they can opt out uh, for their student to not check out that book. We're in a new day, and that is really the issue, and where money goes to help with that. We had embarked in the district on hiring psychologists to help students. That's in danger if they change the budget, if they or decide that they don't want certain initiatives and programs. I would just say that all of that is at stake. In fact, in this coming school board election, they seated three members on the board, three ultra conservative members on the board. And there are four positions open, position 1, 2, and 3 and 4. If they win just one seat, they have the power to hire a ultra far right conservative school board leader, and we see what's happening
Into
right
the,
now
mhm.
with in HISD. with what's going on there. They have the right. If they get control of the board, they can completely reverse all the progress this board has made in trying to, and this district has made, trying to make sure that every student has opportunity. Uh,
Mhm.
that was the motto that we had, and that's the motto that I ran on, and that opportunity for all. So we have to understand that that's what's at stake in this coming election.
Thank you, Dr. Ogletree. As I was sitting here listening to you, I always can identify as a parent because I had 4 children that come through this district, and I've seen it come a long ways, and the changes that have made and the progress that has been made. And for us to go backwards would definitely be something that, as a teacher, I wouldn't want to be under that critical control. We've lost a lot of great teachers because it's just too much stress and too much control of people who really don't care about classrooms and don't care about students. And so it's bad. I'm saying it's bad enough trying to just be a teacher and love on the children and teach them than having to worry about somebody lording over you that doesn't even know anything about a classroom, doesn't have a degree, doesn't have any certifications, and they're constantly on your back watching you and even threatening to fire you or even to send you to jail. So that's one of the things that I would look for as a teacher. Who's going to protect me and who's going to stop all of this stuff that's going on to intimidate and to attack teachers. Um, then also, I was looking at the numbers as I was a counselor. I know we did have to do numbers. Um, Breaking it down tells you what the needs are of the district,
Very
because
much
one
so.
size does not fit all. And so it has changed drastically to more. When I came on, it was a majority Anglo district, and now it's a majority, um, it's not black, what we call it, black and brown district.
Yes, it's a majority minority
That's
district
it, yeah.
in Fair.
Mhm.
Right now, 45% Hispanic, Latino, 20% African American, 22% Anglo, 9% white, and I mean 9% Asian. And
Asian.
so the thought was, with in the subject of equity, is that you're going to take something from my child to give to some child that's needy or some child that needs, and that's not what equity is about. Equity means we make sure that whatever the needs of that child is, no matter what ethnicity, no matter what gender, no matter what family background or religion that child comes from, we meet that need. It doesn't mean we're going to take away from the elite or from the uh, high income child. That just means that, look, we're to educate each child, and we're going to make sure we meet that need, and
Mhm.
that's what's at stake. I will say this too, uh, uh, that Dr. Henry had assembled one of the most diverse administrative teams of almost any school district. And I tell you, if the conservatives take over, that will be gone. They will work to change that. So that's at stake in this election.
And I think that what you just said is going to be like the number one issue for me, which covers a myriad of things that we just talked about. But the main reason that people really need to vote and look and put the right people in the right places, because if we don't, we could lose total control. And it's all about control. Even when you're looking at other forms of government and different things, it's all about who's going to take over. And if we don't vote, we have the votes to be able to take it over ourselves. But if we don't vote, they will take it over. And when they take it over, they control all the money, the funds. And so when you divide things up, the things that would be pertaining to a lot of minority students would be, health education, uh, emotional things like that, psychological things like that, ESL, you know, programs are given based upon the need.
Yes.
But if you don't know the number of the need, then you can ignore those kids because you don't know that those kids are need all of these items, these programs. So I think that controlling the district, and so that they can take away from our children without it being said that they took it away.
And may I say one last thing, Lady
Yes,
O,
I'm sorry.
is that as far as Sci-Fair, I had the privilege, God gave me the privilege of serving 18 years. Uh, and before me, there were two other black gentlemen that served. Now, uh, this district, in the first time in 20 years, has not had a black presence on the board. And I'm going to tell you, presence means a lot. Presence, being in the room, uh, the conversations, the decisions, the
Hmm.
initiatives. Presence means a lot. So I just hope that the voters will come out, and I'm supporting the gentleman that you're about to bring on. And remember, presence makes a difference.
Right, right. I appreciate you saying that too, Dr. Ogletree, because I think a lot of people too really, really, really was so happy to see you on that school board for 18 years. And I think they got comfortable with it and complacent with it because we've had people come up and ask him, can you check into this? What's going on with this? But when you don't have that person at the table, they can't tell you what's going on. They can't help you. They can't even speak up for you because they're not at the table. So we have to have someone at the table who represents us. We've also been at tables when were said and done that were not the right thing or the appropriate thing to do, and nobody knew about it because nobody was at the table that would be offended. Okay, so over the years we have learned that we need to have everybody represent the table. So not just a black person, but you need to have people who believe in opportunity for all. You're black, you're brown, you're white, you're Asians, you're whatever kind of students you have, that they don't see it as that kind of child or those kind of children are taken away from our children. They see it as all of these are our children. We are here to educate all the children and offer an opportunity for all. How can you do that when you don't know what the needs are of all of the children? So that would be a good one. Let me go ahead and introduce our next guest. And of course, Dr. Ogletree, thank you for all of your service for 18 years. And just even for supporting, even though you're not on the board now, that you're still concerned about the children in our district, the neighbors in our district, the teachers, that's still in your heart. So we want to thank you for your service, and we all promise we're going to do better in getting out the vote and making sure we do, because we do push opportunity for all. This should be a no-brainer. I mean, why would you not want opportunity for all? Why would you want opportunity for mine and not yours, or yours and not mine? It just doesn't resonate with anybody who takes care of children. Why would you be against opportunity for all the kids? I don't get it. Anyway, thank you so much, Bishop. I really do appreciate that. And thank you. And don't go away. We're going to ask you some more questions. We got some more people who are coming that may have questions for you. So put your questions in the chat and I will get them answered for you. From Bishop, he's not going to be going away. So let me go ahead and introduce our next guest to you. And during this time, we'll have other guests on, but this is the first one, and they just started signing up for the school board positions. As Dr. Ogletree told you, that there are 4 positions open. His position was number 5. Number 5 is not vacant at this time, so you can't run for 5. The position that this young man is going to be running for is position 1. So make sure you put up number one. And so let me, without further ado, I want to introduce to you his this candidate and his wife. He will bring on his wife, but I want you to get to see him and know why we think he's a really great person to sit out at the table on the board to represent all of the children. So help me welcome to Tea Talk, Dr. Cleveland Lane. Would you come on, Dr. Cleveland? Welcome, Junior, Dr. Cleveland Lane
Hello.
Jr.
Hello, Lady O. How are you doing
I'm
today?
wonderful. I'm so happy that you have joined us for Tea Talk. And what I want to do in our time we have left here is for people to get to know who you are, what you stand for, and I want you to tell them, what you feel about, the position and why you're running. So why don't you tell us where you're from and a little bit about yourself first, okay?
Oh, yes, ma'am. And I have to tell you, thank you for this opportunity. I always start back from where my roots are from. I'm from East Texas, Lufkin, Nacogdoches area, St. Augustine, and the Piney Woods. So that's my foundation. I always say that country life and just getting to know where, everybody in the neighborhood, it was a true village that helped raise me into who I am today. But then from Lufkin, Nacogdoches area, my family moved into the Galveston area, Galveston County, Lamarck High School, and I went to school in Galveston and Lamarck. And then from Galveston, Lamarck, that's where I was on I was vice president of my class, and I was a very active individual within my class, and I played football and sports and basketball and ran track. Then after school, I ended up moving uh, I ended up going to Purdue University.
Yay.
That's where I got my bachelor's and master's from. Come from a long line of Purdue graduates, all the way back to my great grandparents went to Purdue. So education has always been a very important part of my life. I told the story today that I met my family historian, and she told me that um, I was. It's been over 150 years of education being taught. So I'm standing on a bunch of shoulders right now,
All right.
that as far as educators, and that's what it's all about. When you've been trained and it's in your genes to say, okay, this, what you're supposed to be doing.
Mhm.
I've just been guided to this point. So it was a blessing as while I was at Purdue, I was a biology major. So STEM, the sciences, is very important to me. And students understanding math and understanding biology, understanding themselves, is a very important process that as in my 26 years, and yes, 26 years of education at Purdue A&M University, um, I've learned and helped develop and mold students that went into the healthcare fields, but also went into some of my best students. They went off into other areas, some business majors and those different majors. So I was always an inclusive individual that students came to talk to me. They found that they were able to see that I was somebody that had their best interests at heart, and saying, okay, how can you help me become better? How can I get to the goals that I have set for myself? And that's what education is about. A lot of times you run into students that so many people are willing to tell them what they can't do, what they shouldn't do, where they shouldn't go. Well, education is truly about, well, what can you do? What can I get? What can you learn from the person in this one conversation that can make me better tomorrow? And that's what we have to step out on that faith and say, okay, when we talk to students, well, how can I groom you to be better tomorrow? So as I stated earlier, and continuing with my education, I got my bachelor's and master's from Purdue, and then went on to get my PhD from Texas A&M. And in that, my PhD is in curriculum instruction. So another, tab to that education part in developing students, and specifically within science education. So in my growth, my own development, I I developed from the standpoint of how can I groom and develop students within the STEM areas, but also how can I help and develop various curriculums, after school programs, and helping students as they get ready to move on to that next stage in their life. And so I have in my 26 years, I've worked with large budgets and helping develop my own department, but also I've worked with small budgets and working with after school programs and saying, okay, um, we have just this amount of money. What can we do? I
Mhm.
even take an opportunity to work with kids in the neighborhood working on the SAT prep and ACT prep, scholarships, and saying, okay, these are things that you might want to start looking into. I've taken an opportunity to work with their parents and say, okay, I know you want your kids to go to school, but these are some of the things you need to start thinking about now while they're in middle school. Don't wait until they get into high school and say, well, what's next? Let's talk about it now in middle school. So
Right.
this is important items that the school district needs to continue doing because I'm not saying that I'm coming in and reinventing the wheel. South Fair School District is a great school district. And that's one of the things every time that I've sat and listened, I know it's a great school district. So I want to become a part of that and build on top of it. And
Oh,
that's where we don't want to start having have individuals that want to tear it down to show
mhm.
that, well, I've made this change. But I want to say, well, let me stand on those shoulders that have already put it where it is now. And let's make it even better. Because we
Wow.
have people, and there's reasons why we want those people to look at us as that flagship school district to say,
Right.
okay, this is what they're doing. Let's continue it going.
And you know
Um,
what? When you were saying that, I was just so because I go to a lot of the well, when my husband was on the board, we would go to a lot of conventions and things like that. They were always recognizing Sci Fair as this marvelous school district, and we are got so many awards, and people were school district were looking to us, and then for people to come in and tear it down like it was so bad. I'm glad to hear you say that because I think people need to know that Sci Fair is a very good school district. Sci-Fair does have some wonderful people in it. It's just a few people that want to make it look like it's so bad so they can tear it down and build it back up the way they want it to be built, and it has nothing to do with education and helping our kids. I like also the part that you said about coming in and listening to the children and trying to find out how can I help you become. And to me, that says individuality. How can I help you, not them? How can I help those children? How can I help those people? They're not those people. It's not those kids. It is a child that is in need. So it sounds like to me, from just listening to you, you did a great job. I'm listening to the roundedness, the well-roundedness that you help with parents, with the SAT, and those kind of things that people don't know. Because as a counselor, I used to do the same thing. I have to tell my parents, you start now, getting the pre this and the post this, and this is how you do. Because a lot of our parents don't know that. So you're interested in the parents, and then you also talked about the community, the after school programs and things like that. You're well versed in that. You matriculated to the highest A&M University. That's mine too. My PhD, that's where I got mine from. So wonderful university that you've gone through, your experiences, and now you're at PV. I got my master's at PV, so we have a lot in common. But anyway, I wanted to just say to you that it sounds like to me that you are a well-rounded person and you really know what you're talking about. So I want to get into this part too before we get too late. One of the things that I definitely look at when I look at somebody who's going to serve on the board is, do they have children in the district? And so why don't we take this time for you to introduce your family and tell about your own personal investments in the schools and Sci-Fair.
so yes, my wife and I, Perla, we have three kids. Well, two kids that are in the school district still. We have my oldest. She graduated from Ranch, and she's presently in her junior year at Prairie View as an architect and construction science major, which
Okay.
is beautiful thing because she's following her and my wife's footsteps as an architecture actual architect. But in addition to that, I have two younger seventh grade and eighth grader that are playing currently. And that's one of the things that I wanted to be, and I told him as we sat down to discuss about running, I was like, Dad, I told him, I was like, your dad wants to continue to do what he does. You know, he loves education, and he wants to continue to be a part of not just your life, but also help with your friends and your friends' friends. Because as I contributed to working at the YMCA and working with my little league football and track team, they know anytime I see them, I'm always asking about school. What are you doing in school? How's school going? And that's where it is. They're at that age right now that we're teaching them those habits so that when they step away from us, they'll be ready. And that's what Sci-Fair is, that tool. It's a beautiful tool to continue to use in the helping in the development of our children, and also helping in the development of the teachers that are developing our children. Because
Yeah.
in the end, I wish, and it's so funny, and I hate I have to say it, but during COVID, a lot of parents end up learning what our teachers do every day.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem was, after COVID, a lot of them forgot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm here for the teachers because I know what they have to go through every day. And I
Thank you.
understand what they have to go through at night when they leave. It doesn't stop while they're in those classrooms, during
Thank
the day. It
you.
continues when they get home. They still got to take care of their own kids, but also they have to continue to do to be a true teacher, what it's going to take to prepare for the next day, and also even prepare for the next year in their own development. So I have to say that as in my own grooming, I've been in development programs where I'm helping with teacher development. I've received awards in helping with teacher development.
Oh, and that's so important that you know what a teacher goes through. I'm telling you, that's why I said when I look at who's going to be sitting on that board, I want to know, have you ever been a teacher? Have you been in the classroom? Do you have children? Do you have empathy for the teachers? Because my heart just cries out sometimes for teachers because I know what we go through as teachers, and I know that what parents can put you through. But then for the school district and the people to come through and put more weight on you instead of coming to help you, my heart goes out to the teachers. So we need somebody that has a heart for the teachers. Now, let me ask you this before we get too far, because you've done a great job of sharing with us who you are, your heart, and definitely I can hear that your heart is for the children. Inside, outside the school, where you go, you attract, you love children, and you got the experience of working with children 26 years in education. You have your own child who you've prepared to go to college, and a woman, a female in STEM. So you just really have a lot of things that you said there jumped out at me for people who really would want to have you sit at the table to represent their daughters, and their after school programs and the teachers and all the kind of things that we need. But tell me, how do we get more information? Because our time is going to run out in a little bit. How do we get more information about you? Tell us what you need us to do. Where do we sign up? What do you need for us to do that are watching to make sure you get that seat at the table?
Well, thank you, Lady O. The first thing I need everyone to do is, if you have a Facebook page, I need you to go out on Facebook and you need to look up Vote Dr. Lane for Sci-Fair. And that's what it is, Vote for Dr. Lane for Sci-Fair. And I need you to go out there and follow me, and I need you to go out there and like me so we can continue this conversation, because over these next couple of months, we are going to have a lot of conversations. I'm going to be asking people to come out and volunteer, put signs in their yards, also knock on doors. Also, on that web page, on that Facebook page, you'll end up seeing a link for my Instagram and also Twitter. We're going to end up as on that web page that you'll have a link for donations. So one of the biggest things you can do for me right now is go into Facebook. And again, on Facebook, you're going to look for Vote Dr. Lane, and it's just Dr. Lane for Sci-Fair. And that'll get us started, and we'll continue with. And if you can look, it's been posted inside of this conversation. So that's where we need to start, because we're going to have many more conversations. I look forward to coming meeting with your small groups. I need to come meet with your sororities, your fraternities. I need you to let me come and meet. I'll end up setting up times to meet in small groups with just your children and parents. The ideal is that I'm not doing this for myself. And that's what I want everybody to understand. I'm not doing this for myself. This was something that I sat and I discussed with family and friends. And I'm doing this for the community. I'm not doing this just for one student. All right. I'm not doing this for every student. I'm doing it for all the students. So I want you to look at this. It's all students that I want to do. So remember, the voting date is November 7th. And I need you to start talking to your friends now. We're gonna have posting the early voting date, but the actual voting date of the election is November 7th. So as we continue to do this, please look forward to my communications and look forward to just being on my team, because I know I can't do this by myself. This is teamwork. As they say, teamwork makes the dream work. So we're gonna make this come together, and I look forward to working with each one of you. Please start touching the people in your community, because we got to do this together.
Amen. Well, that's really great. I'm glad you said that. And we've got the Vote Dr. Lane for Sci-Fair is like the website, the link. If you put that in there, it'll come up. And so, I just reiterate what you said. Just go ahead and follow. You got to follow. That way you'll get the information every time something comes on or comes up. But the other thing is to share. We're just a little button away from sharing to our groups, to our friends. And I like to do groups, because, when you share one person at a time is 1, 2, 3. But when you share groups, you may have 20 people in that group, but I just share all my groups and be done with it, and make it a daily thing. That way you can get what you need. Now, I'm going to say something that you didn't say, because I have run my husband's campaigns all these years. People, you need to make donations, okay? It takes anywhere on the low end of running a campaign takes about $15,000. And this day and time for this one, we're talking about going up to about 30. I think is what the guy told us,
Yes,
about
ma'am.
$30. Now, what are the things that we do? We will vote, we will help, but we're not giving the money. But you need to be able to do that too, because it takes money for signs and t-shirts and all those other kind of things, advertisements that you have to do. You have to have money. So you not only will raise money. I'm telling you what we did when I first started years ago. We would have these parties in our house, and we would invite over all the neighbors this weekend, and we'd have little envelopes at the door, tell them, put your donation in there, fill it out, da. And then the next weekend, we'd have another group of people over. Then we'd have the church people over. Then we have the people from the Bid Whiz Club. And then we'd have, from wherever. It was every week. But back then, it didn't take as much money. I had to start having them then in restaurants and different places, big meeting places. And people had to give. I had to start asking, don't be giving me $5. I need $1,000 from you, $1,000 from you. And if you can't give that much, give as much as you can. But I just want you to know the extent of how much it costs, so that you will know that, oh, I gave $25. That is very, very nice. We like it. But we're going to need a whole bunch more than $25. And if you can't give that, you can raise it. You can raise it by other people. So I want to make sure you get that financial thing in there. So let's see. What else can we? Your family. The last part of it is I want everybody to meet your wonderful wife. Perla, is she there with you that she can join you? There
Yes,
she is.
She's right there.
I'm here, Lady O. Thank you so much for adding me on.
Well, yeah, definitely. Tell me about this campaign. What do you want? Because I know with me, I was having to be the number one cheerleader and bottle washer and everything else to make sure this campaign. What do you say about your husband running, and what do you need the people to do to help you?
I say pick the right candidate. And you will never know how strong his heart is or his passion is, as me and my kids do. We live, breathe education. He's truly changed my heart on it. I wish I had the blessing and the niche that he does for education, but I don't. But I do have the love and the passion for the students and the staff of a school district because I do work for a school district, so I see what they go through. So my husband has the drive. And he's always had the drive, and he's always going to push for opportunity for our children and for your children. And that's very important that you have someone out there that can actually relate to what you're going through as a teacher, as an administrator, and getting students prepared for college. He knows those different levels, and I wouldn't trust anyone else other than my husband with my kids or with any other students. I bring other kids and say, you need to talk to my husband. He will put you on the right path. Where we live, we have kids in the family, in the neighborhood. They come over and they ask Dr. Lane for advice on which path to go. So he's the best choice. He's the best candidate, and I stand behind him 100%.
All right. Well, I tell you, I know from listening to him that he is, but it's always good to hear what the wife has to say. Because
Yes.
sometimes, they may fool us, but they don't fool the wife. And you can tell by listening to his wife that she stands behind her man not because he's her husband, because she knows he's the best man for the job.
Yes.
So we thank you so much, guys, for coming on. And is there anything else that Dr. Ogletree that I left off? If you want to close us out with final words, we have a couple more minutes. We would love to hear from you. He has been the champion. I don't know if y'all know, but Dr. Ogletree was selected when Sci-Fair celebrated their 75th anniversary. They chose 75 people in the district to recognize as being most impactful for the success and future of Sci-Fair. And he was one of the ones selected. He got an award for this beautiful, he was in the book. So Dr. Ogletree, can you leave us with parting words to get us ready for what it is we need to do? Can y'all hear him? You gotta put your mic on. I can't hear. Tell me if we still can't hear.
I got it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
As Christians, our first order of business is to pray. I pray for our district. I pray for these candidates that'll be running, and especially Dr. Cleveland Lane Jr. Pray that that he what he says resonates with people. Pray that people will register to vote. Pray that people will share his story with others, that they will contribute, that they will sign up to pass out this and to hold meetings for him. This is so important. A man who wants to not just represent his own children or children that look like him, but children who don't look like him. He has a heart. He is proven over 20 years of pushing for student achievement. And that's the type of person that we need. And that's why I resonate so well with him. So let's pray. Let's talk it up. Let's make sure that not just, as Lady O said earlier, not just that you vote, but your neighbor, your friend, your coworker, all of your relatives vote. This is an important election, and I believe Dr. Cleveland Lane Jr. will represent us well. Opportunity for all.
Thank you, Dr. Ogletree. And as you can see, and as you have heard from this particular show today, this is one of the most important elections Sci-Fair will ever have. It is one of the most important because if they lose one seat to this group that wants to control the district and make all these changes and take us backwards, then we have lost the board because they will be able to choose the superintendent that they want, and they will be able to control and manipulate and do all kinds of things that have nothing to do with educating our children. Our children deserve better. Our teachers deserve better. The school needs to be a place where they have teachers who are able to freely teach and love and give them what they have been trained to do. Okay. We go to school for this. We get a degree for this. We have to take certifications and CEUs and CUIs and all those things. That's what teachers and educators have to do. So we cannot let people come in and manipulate and change and take away and threaten and run away our good teachers. A lot of our good teachers have quit. They retired early because of this. So this is one of the most important elections you will ever vote in Cy-Fair. And I want to leave you with that, because with you understanding that this is the most important election, it means you cannot afford to sit this one out. You cannot afford to not work really, really hard to do everything you can to get everybody that you know to the polls to vote for the Cy-Fair school board election. Well, listen, I'm through. Thank you all. It's been a wonderful show, very informative. What I would ask you to do is to share this show with many others, pass it on, keep it going on, because we need to make informed decisions. And if you don't know the information, you cannot make an informed decision, and you certainly can't make the best decision. Cleveland Lang Jr. is the best man for the job. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next week for another wonderful topic on Tea Time with Lady O. Bye-bye for now.